Welcome back to the studio, and today I wanted to talk about how I use my pocket notebooks. Pocket notebooks have been a part of my life. I was going to say my daily routine. It goes beyond that. They've been an essential part of my life for certainly as long as I can remember, but let's nail it down a little bit. Certainly I always had one in my bag when I was a student, and I carried on using them ever after that. And even when I was writing in bigger kind of A5 books, because I wanted to get early attempts at trying to write longer pieces and trying to write bits of fiction, I always had one in my bag that I would call the bag book. So I was never without a bag book, and back then it was whatever I could get my hands on. I didn't really fetishize necessarily the type of book, but I would always pick up, if I saw an interesting one along the way, I'd always pick them up. And at the moment I have 3 pocket notebooks that I use in my daily life at the moment. And I thought I'd just talk about why I've got 3 pocket notebooks instead of just one, and how I use them and the differences between them. And I'm going to make another video about my no system of pocket notebooking and journaling. But for now, I just thought I'd talk about how I use my pocket notebooks. The most obvious one to talk about is just my journal, if you like, my daily journal. And one of the reasons I wanted to make this video today is this has changed since I've started doing morning pages, because in my morning pages is more of just a kind of like a brain dump, but just a kind of clearing of the decks. But sometimes in the process of doing that, a lot of stuff will be in there that might be about what I did the day before or the night before, and perhaps how I feel about it. So when I come to writing here throughout the day, this is a wonderful little Leuchtturm 1917, which I dearly love. I won't repeat things that are in my morning pages, which may turn out to be a little bit of a weakness because I don't really reread my morning pages so far. Let's see, when I do the 100 days, maybe I will reread them for that. Whereas these, I do use my pocket notebooks for capturing ideas that I may use later. And so I often go back through my pocket notebooks, just dipping in, like a kind of lucky dip to see what's there. Sometimes because I know I captured stuff I will want later. This one, for example, has the bare bones for a story I want to write. A bit of fiction, a bit of historical fiction. And so that's a useful note. And the great thing with these Leuchtturms is they have the index at the beginning there. And index day is a great day when you fill in the index for your Leuchtturm, which you can obviously do at the end, because you don't know how, you've only got these a set number of places you can write the index, so you have to wait till it's finished before you do that. And I love doing the index, but that becomes valuable because when I'm looking for the notes I made for an idea, I go back through the index if it's in one of these to find them. So this is kind of like my catch-all for everything. This goes with me everywhere. It's always in my bag or my pocket. It's got a pen loop here, but actually the pen loop is currently a little bit redundant because I'm using a Quaco Sport to write in it, and that doesn't fit in the pen loop. Or, well, if it did, it would be a bit of a squeeze. So that's not really working that way. And this will have anything in it, absolutely anything. And often when I'm out and about is what I'm going to write in. It'll be what's with me when I stop in the pub. I'll write it on the train. I was writing on the train the other day, had a great day, filming a video for John Rogers Walks over in Fulham, at Fulham Palace. Brilliant day. So whenever I stopped, like I stopped for lunch in the park, I wrote in here. When I was on the train at the end of the day, I just wanted to capture how I felt about the experience. How I felt was great. So it's a little bit of a kind of diary note, if you like, but also a kind of like mindfulness note of like remembering to appreciate those feelings at the end of a great day out like that, which just happened to be a video that I was making and a really great walk, but also to appreciate like the sunshine. I went to a fantastic second-hand bookshop down there on Putney Bridge. All those little things will be captured in here. And when I reread these, which I will do frequently, it used to be part of my daily routine. I don't do it daily anymore, but I certainly do it a few times a week. I just go into my drawer, fish one out at random. I tend to put the date on them when I finish as well on the cover, and just read a few pages, and it's just so delightful, particularly when you come across a moment like the one I captured there the other day on the tube at Putney Bridge, feeling great about the day. That's a really a really nice moment. It's a really kind of great bit of mindfulness. The other two I'm using at the moment, this Life Vermilion. I love these are great, aren't they? They do them in this size, they do them in A5. I'm not sure if they do a bigger size. And this is lovely. The pages in here are delightful. And this one is specifically for notes for John Rogers walks. So when I am planning a walk and I'm reading different books, I tend to use books a lot rather than web sources. I do use web sources as well, so I'm not militant about it either way. But as you'll see around me, I've got quite a large collection of books that I use for researching those videos. So I'll write them in here so I can take this out with me. And this is a much nicer thing to use when referring to notes than a piece of A4 if I've written them on my computer and print them out. The other day I had literally each four. I had A4, had some in a notebook, and I had some on some A5 Muji note paper, which I took with me loose. That gets a bit messy because you're checking all three. And I had a book as well that I was using, this one, Discovering London's Villages. So I had all the notes shoved in here, and I picked up a leaflet as well whilst I was out about Fulham, so you end up with all bits. This, I started using this at the end of last year, and it's fantastic. I did a video on Tudor London, and all the notes were in here, and it's just nice to have that in your hand. And so this lives on my desk, and it's partly a reminder for to plan those walks and to put something in here, so I've got something to talk about when I go out and I shoot that video. And the other notebook I'm using at the moment is specifically for an event I'm doing. I'm reading this book here, Greyhound by Joanna Pocock. By the way, my dog is snoring under the desk there, you may hear that. Greyhound by Joanna Pocock, and I'm doing a public conversation with Joanna at the Wanstead Fringe Festival on the 7th of September in Wanstead in East London. I know from the viewer demographics that the majority of you are not in the United Kingdom, you're in the United States, so a bit far to go. But that'd be interesting. It is relevant to American audiences because the book is about a journey across America on a Greyhound bus. And I do usually in an average year I'll do at least two of these kind of public conversations with an author. And in the past, what I would do was I'd write them in my pocket notebook. But of course, they would end up scattered throughout the book, so that when I came to do the event, I would be going through here, finding the notes and transposing them to a document that I would type up, which is fine, which is a good part of the process, I must admit. But there's always that slight anxiety that you've missed something because it was amongst other things. So I thought this time, for the first time, bearing in mind I've done quite a few of these now over the last sort of 12 or 13 years that I've been doing this, I thought I've got quite a few of these Moleskine Cahiers. Cahiers, did I get it right that time? I've got quite a few in my drawer. I've got I've got actually another two here. I think I might even have another pack. Actually, I cracked a pack open for this purpose. And I thought, do you know what? What I'm going to do is take this and keep this with the book. And what's great, these Fitzcarraldo edition books, by the way, are just really lovely because it has got an inside flap. So I just pop this inside the back flap of the book, so it's always there. And I take that with me. So the notebook and the book, these two always stay together. And that means that when I am talking to Joanna Pocock on stage at the Wanstead Fringe Festival, I might just have this with me because the notes are in order, right? They're in the order as I'm going through the book. So that's a good system. And obviously when I do the next public conversation, I'll be doing a thing with Ian Sinclair, I think, later on this year. Maybe, I think so anyway. I can just, that can be the next end. So this will become a pocket notebook for those kind of things. And maybe talks that I'm doing myself. I'm doing one in Colchester at the end of November as well. So that will go in this one. So that will be distinct, very particular. And so I can just pick it up, have it with me. That's a handy thing to have on stage. When you're on stage talking to somebody, you don't want a sheet of A4. Interviewing people like that is disconcerting for everybody. It's disconcerting for me because it's a lot to look at. B, your eye line suddenly is going down to your lap and a big piece of paper. I don't think it looks good. I don't think it feels good for the person you're speaking to either, necessarily. But this is a lot more discreet. It's a lot more, you know, I can have it here. I can even be looking at the person whilst referring to it. So that's what I'm doing at the moment with these three. That's kind of normal. I mean, this is obviously, I'm not always using something like this, but I've certainly always got these two that are going with me. And I've got a really good stack of pocket notebooks now. I've got a really nice stash. When I was in France recently, I know I've mentioned that before. I'm going to keep talking about it. It was a great holiday. I picked up some more pocket notebooks. I'm always looking for quirky ones. I like to get things in the local environment. You know, you can get the Moleskine anywhere you go, so there's no point buying another Moleskine unless they tend to be particularly cheap wherever you are. In my experience, they're often the same price. So I thought I'd get something quite plain, actually. Look, this one here, Clairefontaine, a lot of people, fountain pen users love Clairefontaine paper, don't you? I know there's a large cohort of you there. And I just thought, I love a grid paper. I'm not so fond of just plain white paper, but the grid got me €1.70. So there is, I'm going back towards the idea of sort of almost disposable attitude to pocket notebooks. As much as I love, you know, I do love a field notes. Obviously I love a field notes. I've talked about that quite a lot. But I like to, you know, maybe toggle it around a little bit, play it. And this, I bought this purely because it's weird. It says it's Oxford. I don't know if that's a French brand actually that calls itself Oxford. I bought it in a shop in Marseille anyway, in a bookshop in Marseille that had an amazing stationery collection. And it's just got this kind of slightly transparent plastic cover, which I like. And orange is a nice colour, makes you feel good, doesn't it, orange? And this was €2.85, so it's about £2.20. It's got optic paper, and again, it's very similar paper to the Clairefontaine. It's just that grid paper there, and a slightly more upmarket one was this. I just thought it was slightly quirky. It's like a variation on the Moleskine, isn't it? It's called Obertha, and again, it's got the classic elastic band. Quite standard rule pages inside, but it's got page numbers and it's got quite a short index. It's not anticipating you're going to have many different subjects, is it? And just to cover as well, in terms of how I use my pocket notebooks, when I'm using a Cahier, I'll often, or a field notes, I'll put it inside. I've got a leather cover for it, and they just pop inside here really elegantly. So that's quite nice. I've enjoyed using this in the past, and it just goes inside like that. It's quite nice. But actually, a lot of times with field notes, when I've got the pitch black, I quite like having them outside the case as well, so they get a little bit of wear and tear. But it's also, this is a nice thing to kind of carry around and have on the table with you in a pub or a cafe or whatever. So that's a thing I can use with my Cahiers particularly. Whether I would use it with a Clairefontaine or not, I don't know. This has got quite a stiff cover. But even so, it gives you a uniformity, a consistency to the feel of your pocket notebook. The clear benefit of using a pocket notebook, of course, is it can go with you anywhere you are, unlike an A5 notebook. This is definitely pocketable. This one becomes pocketable because it's soft. This is obviously like a wallet. It's just a little bit bigger than a wallet. It can nicely fit into a back pocket, and the Cahier fits into a pocket very, very easily as well. This is a bit wide, but like I say, you can scrunch it up a little bit. And that's the great thing. A pocket notebook goes with you wherever you go, and you can just scribble an idea down really quickly. It can be in a bullet point, it can just be a line. You might sketch them. I used to sketch quite a lot in my pocket notebooks, and you can bend them over double. So if I'm writing on the train, often when I want to bend something over double, that's the advantage of the kind of softback ones like this. Whereas the hardback here, you have to have it wide open like that, and it becomes a bit more of a thing. When I was writing on this on the train the other day, I noticed that people were very aware that I was writing in a notebook. So I thought, anyway, I just thought I'd share those few thoughts on how I use pocket notebooks, what the kind of things I'm writing in them, and the benefits, the clear benefits of having a notebook which goes everywhere with you. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know if you'd like me to cover any particular topics in future around anything really, journaling, writing, morning pages, notebooking, types of notebooks. Pens, I don't feel so confident to go into the world of pens just yet. Just yet. There's some wonderful pen channels and ink channels here on YouTube. So thank you for watching that video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next page.